Okay, great. Well, good evening, delegates, judges, World Affairs Council staff, and esteemed committee chairs. On behalf of the World Affairs Council and the Global Smarts Mentoring Program, I would like to thank you all for joining our mock model United Nations final conference. Tonight's program is a culmination of 12 weeks of effort and preparation from our Global Smarts mentors and World Affairs Council staff. We are delighted to share this opportunity with a few guests, and I look forward to the debate and dialogue throughout tonight's program. Before we begin, I would like to briefly address some of the overall goals and structure of tonight's program. First, our Global Smarts mentors, 33 undergraduate students from St. Joseph's University and Temple University have been working with and mentoring approximately 150 middle school students from 9 Philadelphia public and parochial schools. These middle school students will engage in their own virtual Model United Nations final conference over multiple dates in May. Our program tonight puts the mentors into the student role called delegates so that they are able to experience the program from the student perspective. What better way to mentor students than to put yourself in their shoes? In addition, this will be the first time that the World Affairs Council staff will run a large-scale virtual Model UN experience on the Zoom platform. As program facilitators, we will be using this mock final conference as a dress rehearsal for the student programs in May. Please bear with us as we will use this program as an opportunity to workshop the structure and function of the program, all with a simple goal, making this program as strong as possible for our students in May. With that said, our mentors have been preparing for this final conference since we first met back in January. The mentors have been assigned countries of study, have been tasked with researching the historical, cultural, diplomatic, and economic conditions in their countries. This research culminated in a position paper and policy resolution based on this year's topic of study, Sustainable Development Goal number 3, promoting healthy lives and well-being for all. We're all very excited to see their research and hard work displayed tonight. Please note that for tonight's mock Model UN program, some countries will be represented by multiple mentors. Delegates, each of you should participate individually and should remain true to your assigned country's views on the issue. In addition, each delegate will be able to vote independently, even if there is more than one delegate assigned to represent a country. Before we begin, I would like to briefly introduce myself and my committee co-chair today. My name is Eric Wambaka. I'm the Director of Student Programs at the World Affairs Council of Philadelphia. I also lead the Global Smarts Mentoring Program and our efforts in the mentorship and work with approximately 150 middle school students. Casey, would you like to briefly introduce yourself?
Yes, hello everybody, I'm Casey. I'm the Associate Director of Student Programs at the World Affairs Council. I'm also a former Global Smarts mentor, so I love when I get to come back and help out with the program, so I'm really excited to see how it goes. Thanks for joining us.
Great. Next, I would like to turn it over to the World Affairs Council of Philadelphia's Vice President of Education, Kristen Hutchinson, to introduce our guests tonight.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to get to join you all for our mock final conference tonight, and so excited to welcome our guest judges. I'm actually going to let them introduce themselves, and I think we are still waiting on Mitch Sargent. I don't know if he's going to be joining us tonight.
I'm here.
Oh, you're
I've
here.
been here. No, I'm here. I apologize. I didn't have it on the right bidding. Whatever. I'm here. I've been listening.
Yay!
Sorry about that.
Hi, Mitch.
I'm here.
No problem. No problem. Okay, well,
Okay.
let's have you all introduce yourselves. And if you just want to share, your name, your title, and how you are connected to the World Affairs Council, I think that would be so helpful for our undergraduate students that are here tonight. We'll start with Stephen.
Okay, thanks, Kristen. My name is Stephen Gerber. I'm currently the Senior Director of Local Government Affairs for Comcast Communications. I'm connected to the World Affairs Council just as a member and a supporter. As someone who's new to Philadelphia, I'm just starting to get involved with the council. In a previous life, I actually did a lot of negotiating at the UN in numerous meetings. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out.
Thank you, Stephen, and thank you for joining us tonight. We're so excited to have you as a guest judge. Okay, Blair, if you'd like to take a second to introduce yourself as well, your connection to the council, and if you've had any previous experience interacting with international relations or Model UN, that would be helpful for our students too.
Hi, everyone. My name is Blair Bodine. I'm the Chief Advancement Officer at World Cafe Live. If any of you have visited us in West Philadelphia, we are an independent music venue and community center. I am so impressed with everyone who's made a commitment to be a mentor on this call here tonight. At the World Cafe Live, I partake in our fundraising and education programs. So I just commend you all for your commitment to mentoring and to global citizenship. I actually, when I was in high school, did a 2-week work study at World Affairs Council. And so that was my connection years and years ago, and I'm just getting involved again. And I'm a huge fan of Model UN, so happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Blair. We're happy to have you. And last but certainly not least, Mitch, a very good friend of the council and our education programs. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I'm Mitch Sargent. I've been on the board of World Affairs Council for like the last 8 or 9 years. I'm still doing that. I'm very committed to education. I've been helping with the education programs. I know Kristen and the whole team very well. I actually work also with a program called Good Citizen Day through the Union League, and I know Kristen and so forth. Bodine is involved in that. But I have to say, my background, I'm a lawyer, and on the business end, I've done a lot of negotiations in reinsurance and so forth. But I've always had a love and passion about international aspects. And I was also a business law teacher at Penn State. And one of my college students is the one who told me about World Affairs Council about 10 years ago. Said, Professor Sargent, you would love World Affairs Council. And he was spot on about that. So I'm really thrilled to be here and be part of this. And I commend all of the college students that are participating in this right now, and Kristen and your whole team. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, wonderful. We're so excited to get to see all of our mentors in action tonight as well. All right, I'll turn things back over to Eric and Casey, our co-chairs for today's program.
Great, thank you, Kristen. I now have the pleasure to officially open our Global Smarts Mentoring Mock Final Conference. Let's begin. The co-chair motions to formally open tonight's proceedings. Our first order of business is conducting a roll call of nations. When you hear your country's name called, irrespective of the number of delegates that represent that country, please respond with either present or present and voting. Okay, so our roll call begins with the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan.
Present and voting. Dana Hungerford.
Thank you. The Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Present. Yeah, I'm sorry. What is just present?
Present or present and voting.
Present and voting, I guess.
Great, thank you. The Federative Republic of Brazil.
Present and voting.
Present and voting.
Thank you. The Socialist Republic of the Union of Burma.
Present and voting.
Great, thank you. The People's Republic of China.
Present and voting.
Present and voting.
Thank you. The Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia.
Present and voting.
Great, thank you. The Hellenic Republic.
Present and voting.
Great, thank you. The Islamic Republic of Iran.
Present and voting.
Present and voting.
Great, thank you. Japan.
Present and voting.
Great, thank you. The United Mexican States.
Present and voting.
Great. The Federal Democratic Republic of Nepal. Do we have the Federal Democratic Republic of Nepal? Not with us. Okay. The Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Present
and voting.
Great, thank you. The Islamic Republic of Pakistan.
Present and voting.
Great, thank you. The Republic of South Africa.
Present and voting.
Thank you. The Republic of Korea.
Present and voting.
Thank you. The Republic of the Sudan.
Present and voting.
Thank you. The Syrian Arab Republic. Do we have the Syrian Arab Republic with us? Okay. The Kingdom of Thailand.
Present and voting. Present and voting.
Great, thank you. The United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
Present and voting.
Thank you. The Socialist Republic of Vietnam.
Present and voting.
The Virgin Islands.
Present and voting.
Thank you. Republic of Yemen.
Present and voting.
Present and voting. Present and voting.
Thank you. And the Republic of Zambia.
Present and voting.
Great, thank you. On your screens, I might have skipped over this just a little bit earlier. Our guest judges will be viewing today's program and issuing a number of awards, including the Outstanding Delegate Award and Outstanding Delegate Honorable Mention Awards. So you have seen that. That's been on your screen for a little bit. Those are the criteria for tonight's program awards. Just to go over some very basic protocol for this program, please address the chairs as Mr. or Madam Chair and listen while the chairs are speaking. Chairs will call decorum if they need delegates to quickly quiet down. Please stay in your role, represent the perspective of your assigned country and not your own personal viewpoint. Please refer to yourselves in the third person, as in the delegate from the People's Republic of China, not I. Treat others with respect, not only during this program, but always. Please keep an open mind and listen to others while they're speaking. Please keep your microphone muted until called on to speak. We're going to try our best to prevent crosstalk during such a large meeting, so please keep yourself muted until called on to speak. When called on, please speak loudly and clearly so that all others can hear you. And to get the attention of co-chairs, please use the raise hand feature, or you can use the chat to send either Casey, Kristen, Logan, or myself a direct message if you have any questions at all. I have seen a few chat messages come through, and okay, yes, so we have the Republic of Haiti is taking over for the Republic of Nepal. Thank you, Delegate Sweeney, for that as well. Okay, Casey, will you move on to the next slide, please? And just a quick reminder of some parliamentary procedure for you all. We will use a speakers list. The speakers list determines the order in which delegates will speak. We'll get into more on the speakers list in just a few minutes. You will have a speaking time during your time. You can yield your time either back to the chair or to a fellow delegate. We'll be using both a moderated caucus and an unmoderated caucus. I'll explain both of those and how they'll look for this final conference when we get to those sections. If you believe there's been a mistake that has been made in the rules of procedure, you can raise a point of order. You can always raise a point of inquiry if you have a question at all. If you need to get my attention or any of the co-chairs' attention, please use the raise hand feature. We'll have somebody monitoring that. If you do need to, if you experience any sort of personal discomfort, you can ask for a point of personal privilege as well. If you need to, exit the meeting for any reason at all, you can raise a point of personal privilege, or in this setting, you can just mute your mics and mute your cameras. Okay, thank you all for bearing with us through those brief pieces. Our first order of business is to set the agenda for today's committee. We will vote on the order in which we would like to debate and discuss the clauses as written. For this vote, every delegate will have only one vote. When voting begins, please use the raised hand feature to register your vote. Please remember to lower your hand when asked. So to give a little bit more context on what we're going to be doing, you have all seen this resolution that was written by the three mentors footnoted at the bottom. I'll read the resolution in a second, but essentially what we're doing right now is we are going to determine, based on a vote, which clauses you would like to debate first, second, and third. So we're not going to debate it as written. You guys are going to get to vote on whichever clause you would like to debate first, second, and third. So to read the resolution in its entirety, keeping in mind that 9 out of 10 people breathe air that exceeds the WHO guideline limits containing high levels of pollutants, with low and middle income countries suffering from the highest exposures. Conscious of the fact that less than half of the global population is covered by essential health services, and recognizing the concerning variance in the average life expectancy between more and less affluent countries due to disparities pertaining to adequate healthcare facilities, infrastructure, and basic resources, medical supplies, and equipment. Further requests that the United Nations wealthiest members aid in funding of programs to help monitor and reduce high levels of pollutants, such as installing air quality monitors and adding pollution filters to factories. Strongly recommends the top contributors to the United Nations funding increase their voluntary contributions by 10% to focus on low resource countries, and that this aid not be allocated to specific organizations with the UN to help, but rather given to the country's controlling authority directly to allow for self-assessment and allocation from there. And finally, endorses the establishment of price ceilings in the global exchange of medical supplies, as well as the furthering of governmental tax incentives for institutions that invest in public health. So once again, we will be voting on the order in which we would like to debate and discuss the clauses. For this vote, every delegate will have only one vote. When voting begins, please use the raise hand feature to register your vote. Remember to lower your hand when asked. Okay, so all delegates in favor of discussing the first operative clause, please press the raise hand button now. Okay, take 5 more seconds, and then we will pause to count. Okay, voting is complete. Please keep your hands raised. Casey, can you let me know when the vote is done? Or sorry, Madam Chairman, can you please let me know when the vote is done?
The vote is done.
Great. Please lower your hands. All those in favor of discussing and debating operative clause number 2, please raise your hand now. Okay, voting has now concluded. Madam Chair, can you please count the votes?
The voting is finished.
Great, thank you. Can all of the delegates please lower their hands? All those in favor of discussing the third operative clause, please press the raise hand button now. Great, we will conclude the voting now. Madam Chair, can you please count the votes and let us know which which clause received the most votes? Second most votes and third most votes.
We will discuss the clauses in the order that they appear. Clause 1 first, clause 2 second, and clause 3 third.
Great, thank you, Madam Co-Chair. So we will debate and discuss the resolution as written. Okay, I will now call to the virtual podium the sponsors of the first operative clause that this committee has selected to debate first this morning. Once the sponsors have completed reading their preambulatory and operative clauses, delegates will have 8 minutes to ask the sponsors clarifying questions related to the operative clause. Use the raise hand feature and wait to be recognized before speaking. Once recognized, please unmute yourself and speak loudly and clearly. Return to mute when your question is over. Please ask only clarifying questions at this time. You will have time to debate the substance of the clause later during the moderated caucus. I now invite to the podium, scroll down, Madam Chair, to the footnotes, please. Delegate Hess from the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Delegate Hess, can you please read your preambulatory and operative clause as written?
Yes, so keeping in mind that 9 out of 10 people breathe air that exceeds WHO guideline limits containing high levels of pollutants, with low and middle income countries suffering from the highest exposures, further requests that the United Nations wealthiest members aid in the funding of programs to help monitor and reduce high levels of pollutants, such as installing air quality monitors and adding pollution filters to factories.
Great, thank you. Madam Chair, can we pull up the speakers list for clause number 1? Great, thank you. We are going to go in the order of which that I see. So anybody who would like to ask clarifying questions to Delegate Hess can please raise their hand now. We will go with Delegate Fee from the Federative Republic, and it gets cut off. Apologies. I'll just go with names. They all get cut off. We'll go with Delegate Aaron O next. Delegate Dan O after that. And then we'll take additional clarifying questions after those 3. Delegate Fee, can you please unmute yourself and ask a clarifying question to Delegate Hess?
The delegate representing Nigeria would like to know how lower income nations could contribute to this and what this would look like in countries trying to increase their productivity.
So lower income nations could help with the actual installation of these kinds of programs. The issue is the funding, because they don't have enough excess money to allocate to other places.
Great, thank you, Delegates Fee and Hess. Next up, we have Delegate O'Neill from the Republic of Korea.
The delegate from South Korea would like to know if the programs that will be created from the supposed funding will be distributed based off of the need in each country of pollutions or off of income within those countries.
I would say, or the delegate representing Pakistan would say that it would be distributed based on the needs of the country, just because pollution affects all different nations, all different ways, and there would be different ways to go about installing in different countries.
Thank you, Delegate Hess. I appreciate that. Delegate O'Connell, representing the nation of Zambia, can you please ask your clarifying question?
The delegate from the Republic of Zambia would like to ask a clarifying question regarding the definition of the United Nations wealthiest members. The nation of Zambia has recently increased its contributions to United Nations by 25% in the last 10 years. And the Republic of Zambia has increased its global GDP over the past 15 years as well, causing its status in the United Nations to be elevated. But we are certainly by no means a top contributing nation to the United Nations. So the Republic of Zambia is simply asking a question on clarifying what the definition of the United Nations top wealthiest includes.
The delegate representing Pakistan would define the wealthiest members of the UN as those that in the statistic named the WHO study, that they're the wealthiest countries that are least affected by pollution. So who would be not categorized as a middle to low income country that is more affected by pollution.
Great, thank you, delegates from Zambia and Pakistan. I believe we have one more, is that correct? Yes, the delegate Smith from the Virgin Islands.
Hi, the delegate from the Virgin Islands would like to know if this will be in partnership with the World Health Organization. Will they be assisting in funding and facilitation of this effort?
The delegate from Pakistan would like it if the World Health Organization worked alongside this project because their study is the grounds for it.
Great, thank you, delegates Smith and Hess. Delegate Yingling from the country of Vietnam, please go ahead.
The delegate representing the Socialist Republic of Vietnam has a follow-up question to Delegate Smith's question. If these programs to install different things that aid in halting pollution are going to be sponsored primarily by each affected country's government or by local organizations or by United Nations groups specifically.
The delegate from Pakistan would think it's the best course to maybe get funding from all three because there should be already like somewhat of local funding to eco-friendly programs in most nations. There's already probably some federal funding to eco-friendly programs if you're already a member of the United Nations. And the money that Pakistan is asking for from the United Nations members would just be whatever is left over to help.
Great, thank you, delegates. We have one last hand. This will be our last clarifying question. Delegate Eisenberg from the People's Republic of China.
The delegate from People's Republic of China would like to ask whether or what kind of funding would the lower income countries that do not have the eco-friendly policies that the delegate of Pakistan was just speaking about, where would they get their funding to continue with this kind of work?
The delegate from Pakistan would like to put off that question till further conversation happens because I think it would need to be decided after the countries that needed more help were categorized out of the countries that were going to help fund this. So I don't think it's appropriate to say yet before other countries have given their input.
Great, thank you, delegates Eisenberg and Hess. Breaking character for just 1 second. Let's all give a congratulations to Jolie for that. Great job, Jolie. Very little prep, if nothing at all, and she rocked it. So great job, Jolie, and thank you to all you guys for participating. Okay, back into character. We are going to move on to our moderated caucus on clause 1. Can I have a motion from one of our delegates to move into a moderated caucus, please? Go ahead, Delegate O'Connell.
The delegate from the Republic of Zambia motions for moderated caucus.
Great, thank you, the delegate from Zambia. I appreciate that, and we will move into a moderated caucus. Okay. We will now move into a 8-minute moderated caucus with 45-second speaking time. We invite the delegates to address some of the broader issues raised in the clause. If you do not use your full 45 seconds, you may yield your remaining time to a fellow delegate or chair. This is a great opportunity to make an argument for or against the clause as written. The next part of the program, the unmoderated caucus, is when we'll be writing amendments. So this is a good opportunity for you to stake out a position and make a point in front of the entire committee that we have assembled in front of us today. So please use the raised hand feature to register your intent to speak on operative clause number 1. Do we have anybody interested speaking on operative clause number 1? Okay, we've got Delegate O'Connell first, Delegate Smith second. Do we have any other takers? We will start with Delegate O'Connell first. Delegate O'Connell, you can register your thoughts on operative clause number 1.
The delegate from the Republic of Zambia supports this operative clause under the circumstances that many of the most developed nations throughout the world that promote higher green standards and have wealthier GDPs are oftentimes nations that have benefited from resources in underdeveloped nations, such as oil and gas, different resources that have caused mass pollution in these underdeveloped nations. So the delegate from the Republic of Zambia is in favor of this operative clause. The delegate from the Republic of Zambia yields their time to Madam Chair or Mr. Chair.
Great, thank you, Delegate O'Connell. We'll move on to Delegate Smith representing the Virgin Islands. Delegate Smith, you have 45 seconds.
As a country that relies on clear skies and blue water and tourism, pollution is very important to us. However, I'm weary of committing to something like this when pollution is such a general term. Can that include fishing, clean fuel, like fuels such as that? I think us smaller countries really need to define what will be asked of us to allocate such precious resources and money in a pandemic when we're already dealing with other crises. I think we need to band together and be much smarter about how we're defining this so that we're not hurt.
Great, thank you, Delegate Smith. You have ceded your time back to the chair. Next up, we have Delegate Sweeney from Haiti. Delegate Sweeney, go ahead.
The delegate of the Republic of Haiti also supports this clause. However, there is concern about accountability and consistency of funding from wealthiest member states. The general delegation should consider how wealthy nations have historically promised certain actions to happen without following through. So there must be accountability with the request of funds. Equally important, we need to determine how much funding wealthy nations should allocate and give per year. I yield the rest of the time to my chair.
Thank you, Delegate Sweeney. Next, we have Delegate O'Neill from the Republic of Korea. Go ahead, Delegate O'Neill.
The delegate of the Republic of Korea recognizes that pollution is a serious problem across the world. However, we are weary at the fact that because of our growing economy, we do have high pollution in our country, yet fear that we will be hindered from receiving funding to help such pollution because of our recent economic boom. I yield the rest of my time.
Great, thank you, Delegate O'Neill. Next on our list, we have Delegate Brennan representing the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. Delegate Brennan? Perhaps there are some technical difficulties there. We'll come back to you, Delegate Brennan. We'll move on to Delegate Yingling from Vietnam.
The delegate from the Socialist Republic of Vietnam supports this motion. However, I would like to clarify where these programs are going to be centered. As a country where a majority of our populations are located in big cities, where a majority of air pollution is taking place, the delegate from the Socialist Republic of Vietnam would like to clarify where the efforts will be focused if we are to be a recipient of some of this funding. I yield the rest of my time to the chair.
Great, thank you, Delegate Yingling. We're going to close the speakers list as where we're at right now. We'll finish out the names that we have on the list. So that brings us to Delegate Sacheti from Yemen.
The delegate from Yemen is concerned regarding the ambiguity of the statement with the wording of such as some low resource countries rely on manufacturing or the refining of certain natural resources that inherently create pollution, and the ambiguity opens avenues for lower resource states to be taken advantage of. While the delegate from Yemen accepts that pollution is a serious problem, hurting or already declining economies are a serious problem as well and much more urgent. I yield the rest of my time to the chair.
Great, thank you, Delegate. We'll move on to Delegate Kaiser from the Bahamas.
The delegate of the Commonwealth of Bahamas agrees with the statement and believes that it is worth voting on. Major concern, though, was brought up by, I believe, Delegate Smith, dealing with pollution as too much of a generic term. The delegate of the Commonwealth of Bahamas believes that maybe if we can try to define that a bit more down from maybe air pollution to maybe water, or even specifically dealing with the Bahamas, disposal of garbage. That is by far one of our largest issues with pollution, and I'm hoping that this clause can help rectify that. I yield the rest of your time.
Great, thank you, Delegate Kaiser. Delegate Hungerford from Afghanistan, you have 45 seconds.
The Islamic Republic of Afghanistan supports this clause in recognizing pollution, specifically air pollution, as a collective action problem, and seeing as how many lower income nations do not have the resources to fight or reduce their levels of pollution. Afghanistan being one of those relying on industrial sectors that create much air pollution, and we would welcome the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan would welcome aid to reduce levels of air pollution.
Great, thank you, Delegate Hungerford. Our final two speakers, Delegate Williams from Iran.
The Islamic Republic of Iran supports the overall premise and desire to help and address this issue, but there are more diverse problems than just factories when it comes to air pollution. In Iran, there's problems with trucks, buses, and I think the Islamic Republic of Iran sees problems with the technology that leads to the pollution in the air, and it might be more cost effective to not address these issues because it's so diverse in the world of according to what technology levels might be where, and deterrent is something that individual governments can do, and that can deter that pollution internally.
Great, thank you, Delegate Williams. Our last speaker, do we have Delegate Brennan?
Yes, I apologize for my technical difficulties. The Islamic Republic of Afghanistan is in favor of this operative clause. 98% of large cities in low-income countries do not meet WHO air quality guidelines, such as cities in Afghanistan, while in high-income countries, the percentage is only 56%. So there is a clear wealth disparity that we must work to close, and we must request the help of wealthier countries.
Thank you, Delegate Brennan. Appreciate you working through those technical difficulties. So thank you for all of that excellent debate and discussion during the moderated caucus. At this point, I believe the delegates are ready to join an unmoderated caucus and begin amending the operative clause under discussion. Do we have any motions on the floor to move into an unmoderated caucus? The delegate, Ms. Hungerford, is recognized.
The Islamic Republic of Afghanistan moves for an unmoderated caucus.
Thank you. Thank you, Delegate. That motion is passed by the chair. We will now move into an unmoderated caucus. Delegations will meet in their regional blocks to begin debating and amending the proposed operative clause. Each regional block will have a facilitator present to go over these directions again and help answer any questions you have about the amendment writing process. When in your regional blocks, please do the following tasks. First, if you have not already done so, take a moment to introduce yourself to your peers. Then quickly select one delegate who will serve as a spokesperson for your block, and one person who will serve as a reporter and be responsible for typing the proposed amendment on the shared Google Doc amendment form. Your facilitator will be in your breakout room right after you all join, and will send you a link so that everybody in your breakout room can edit an amendment for the proposed or for the clause under discussion. You will have about 10 minutes to review and amend the proposed operative clause. We'll give you about a 5-minute and 2-minute warning prior to closing the unmoderated caucus. Please remember that the purpose of the unmoderated caucus is to allow from countries from similar regions to caucus together and decide what is in the best interest for their collective group of nations when it comes to addressing this issue. Your job is to draft an amendment that will make this operative clause stronger, more effective, and more likely to be adopted by the greatest number of countries. Please remember to be as specific and as realistic as possible in your amendment suggestions, and stay true to your assigned country's ethos. Okay, Logan, do we have breakout rooms ready?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to open up our breakout rooms. Your facilitators will be along shortly to drop in the amendment form link for you all. Good luck. And if you do have any questions, you can. There will be a facilitator present to answer them. Okay, let's go ahead and open those breakout rooms. Thanks for that note, Casey. Okay, welcome back, delegates, to our main room. We will now call to the virtual podium the spokesperson from each block to read aloud their amendments, their amendment, and offer a very brief explanation to why they suggested this change. We will then move on to a vote on each of the amendments. The amendments that win the greatest approval will be incorporated into the final resolution. Okay, so regional block number 1, please have your spokesperson read your amendment.
The delegate from the Republic of Zambia will be representing and speaking on behalf of regional block 1. Our block requests a changing of the phrasing of defining UN top contributors by using the World Bank definition of high income group, using the GNI per capita. So this would be the top 10% of countries that are defined by the World Bank as being in the high income group, and also a redefining of the phrasing of what high pollutants means. So specifically requesting a change in nations that are the top highest contributors to air pollutants in the atmosphere.
Great, thank you, Delegate O'Connell, the spokesperson from Block 1. I would like to invite up the spokesperson from Block 2 to read their amendment to the clause number 1. Spokesperson from Block 2, go ahead.
The representatives of Block 2 would like to propose an amendment to the phrasing. Further request that the United Nations top 20 wealthiest contributors increase their contributions by 10% proportional to their annual contributions to fund programs to help monitor, reduce, and deter high levels of air pollution caused from industrial, technological, and civilian actions. The reason being to clarify who the wealthiest contributors are, to specify how they would, what the amount of funding would look like, and to specify the type of pollution which we chose as air pollution. And that is all. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Delegate Hungerford, Representative Spokesperson from Block 3. If you could please unmute yourself and read the amendment for Clause 1 from Block 3.
Further request that the United Nations wealthiest members, as defined by each member's contribution to the United Nations, aid in the annual funding of government-sponsored programs in all member countries to help monitor and reduce high levels of pollutants, such as installing air quality monitors and adding pollution filters to factories.
Excellent, thank you, Delegate Sweeney. Okay, we have now heard from all three blocks. We are now going to vote on the amendments as written. We'll now vote on the amendments to Clause 1 that will be included in the final resolution. A brief reminder that delegates can vote for any number of amendments. Only the clause that receives the most votes will be included in the final resolution. All those in favor of Amendment 1 presented by Regional Block 1 should use the raise hand feature now to register your votes. Go ahead and use the raise hand feature. Madam Chairwoman, can you count the votes, please?
Yes, the votes are counted.
Great, thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Next up, we have Block 2, Block 2's amendment. Let us now open voting for the amendment from Block 2. Go ahead and place the raised hand feature to register your vote for Block 2's amendment. Oh, great, it counts it for us down there at the bottom. Just seen that. Okay, Madam Chairwoman, do we have the votes counted?
Yes, we have the votes counted.
Great, thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Please lower your hands. We will now conduct a vote for Clause 3. Sorry, for Amendment 3 on Clause 1. Please go ahead and use the raise hand feature to register your vote in support of Block 3's amendment. Great, we will conclude voting for this amendment. Please lower your hands. Madam Chairwoman, did you register those votes?
Yes.
Great, Madam Chairwoman, can you please read out the number of votes for each amendment?
Yes. So the votes for Regional Block 1 amendment is totaling at 9. The votes for Regional Block 3 amendment is totaling at 10. And the amendment is Block 2 totaling 15 votes.
Sorry, Block 2 received the most votes?
Yes.
Congratulations, Block 2. Your amendment will be incorporated into the final resolution. Thank you, Block 2. Thank you, Block 1 and Block 3 for your efforts, but Block 2's amendment will be incorporated into the final resolution. Okay, we are going to move on to the next portion of our program. Once I figure out where our next portion of our program is, it's right here. Okay, we're going to move on to discuss Clause 2 of the resolution as written. Due to time constraints, we will not engage in debate on this clause, and we will not amend the operative clause as written. The authors of Clause 2 will have an opportunity to read their clause, and then there will be approximately 3 minutes of clarifying questions to the clause as written. Following reading, and invite the author of Clause 2 to the virtual podium. The author of Clause 2 is Delegate Sacchetti. Am I saying that right? Sorry, Gianna, if I'm saying that wrong. But Delegate Sacchetti, if you could go ahead and read Clause 2 as written.
Disclaimer, it's Siketi, but no big deal. The Republic of Yemen strongly recommends the top contributors of the United Nations funding increase their voluntary contributions by 10% to focus on low resource countries, and that this aid not be allocated to specific organizations within the UN to help, but rather given to the country's controlling authority directly to allow for self-assessment and allocation from there.
Thank you, Delegate. I sincerely apologize for mispronouncing your last name. Sincere apology on behalf of the chair. Okay, thank you. We will now take any clarifying questions from the delegates. Please use the raise hand feature to register your interest in asking a clarifying question. We have limited amounts of time, so we'll go with Delegate Kaiser first. Great, and Madam Chairwoman, you can put up as many speakers as you think are viable. We'll begin with Delegate Kaiser from the Bahamas. Go ahead.
The delegate of the Commonwealth of Bahamas has one large concern with this clause, that being the risk at corruption and misusing funds if you give it to the governments. Do not want to throw stones in the glass house, but many nations suffer from certain corruptions with funding that's given to them from international powers, and they do not use it properly. It does not go to the issues that need help. So as is, the Commonwealth of the Bahamas cannot vote in favor of this. I yield the rest.
Great. Thank you, Delegate Kaiser. Next up on the speakers list, we have Delegates Washington from Nigeria.
The delegate representing Nigeria just has a clarifying question regarding what low resources means. Does that mean physical resources, wealth, just what that means, and how are we defining which countries are lower resource than others, and how are we differentiating that? I yield my time to the chair.
The delegate from the Republic of Yemen can offer some insight onto what exactly low resource is and what that is in terms of. Keeping in mind that the preambulatory clause is about essential health services, I'm thinking the Republic of Yemen is thinking low resourced in terms of infrastructure, equitable access, and even more localized things such as immunizations and things of that sort. Low resource can be deemed in terms of those things, and then compared to other countries, breaking down that percentage of half the global population into the states and seeing what percentage of the population in particular locations has the least coverage by these essential health services.
Great, thank you. We'll move on to Delegate Pikosi from South Africa. We'll move on to Delegate Pikosi from South Africa.
The delegate from the Republic of South Africa asks to clarify what exactly top contributors means in this said preambulatory clause, and to specify, does it mean financially or in other ways of contributions, and how exactly, if it is financial contributions, what percentage or how is it done, like financially? Is it by GDP or something else?
Yes, of course. So to clarify exactly what top contributors is, we collectively can look at the statistics for the proportions of what states donate to the UN in terms of GDP, which there are top contributors such as the US who provide almost 22% of the UN's funding, and then going down from there. An amendment would be needed to clarify specifically the number of top contributors, but it wouldn't necessarily go by proportion, but rather the top contributors in sense of listing as opposed to I hope that clarifies because the sentence kind of lost in my mind. So if you need to ask another question, please feel free to, but I hope that cleared it up.
No worries, Delegate. Thank you so much. We have one final question. Delegate Williams, representing Iran.
To clarify the second half of the clause, would specifically, but rather given to the country's controlling authority directly to allow for self-assessment and allocation from there. The Islamic Republic of Iran would like to clarify if there would be any oversight or any restrictions for the money given to these nations, and how would that be monitored, or would it at all?
The Republic of Yemen, the delegate for the Republic of Yemen, can offer that there can be, if amended, provides that there can be oversight to how exactly these funds are allocated and the percentage to which they are allocated in terms of possibly installments and almost checks and balances to see that these fundings are going towards the necessary problems within the states to assure that these funds, as previously addressed, aren't necessarily used involving in the corruption that is present within some of these lower resource countries. So yes, if necessary and if amendment calls for it, there can be oversight into this allocation.
Great, thank you so much. Unfortunately, due to time constraints, we're going to have to limit the number of clarifying questions. Breaking character, great job, Gianna. Everybody wish round of applause for Gianna and her efforts there. It's always tough to be put on the spot. I'm hoping you guys can kind of think about, and we'll talk about this at the end, your students being in the seats that you're in right now, and how tough that might be for them in just a few short weeks. Okay, we'll move on. Finally, we're going to vote on the second clause as written. So this is an up or down vote on the second clause as written. So you will only have the ability to vote to approve the clause as written or disapprove the clause as written. So all delegates who are in favor of clause number 2 as written, please register your vote with a raised hand. Madam Co-Chair, can you please count the votes? Madam Co-Chair, do we have the votes counted?
Yes, we have 17 total votes, and I believe that there are 33 delegates. Is that correct?
Yes, there should be, but delegates do have the ability to abstain. So I will ask for all hands to be lowered, and we'll vote on disapproving the clause as written. So if you do not wish to see this clause included in the final resolution as written, go ahead and register your vote to disapprove of this clause as written. Okay, we're going to go ahead and close the voting. Madam Chair, can you count the votes?
Yes, the votes are counted.
Madam Chair, which side registered the most votes? The approving of the resolution, of the clause as written, or disapproving of the clause as written?
This clause passes with 17 votes.
Excellent. Congratulations to the delegate from the Islamic Republic of Yemen on having her clause incorporated into the final resolution. For time reasons, we are going to skip over the third clause entirely. It will be included in the resolution as written, again, due to time constraints. We will now take this opportunity to debate the final amended resolution. So Madam Co-Chair should be showing the entire resolution as written, clauses 1, 2, and 3. We're going to take about 5 minutes for delegates to offer comments both in support of and in opposition to the newly amended resolution. We ask that you keep your remarks brief and simply state your reasons for supporting or opposing the final resolutions. Delegates, please wait until you're called on by the chair to speak from the virtual podium. Okay, we will ready. If you would like your vote to be included, like speak in favor or against the resolution as written. Okay, I see Ms. Hungerford first. Delegate Hungerford, can you go ahead? The floor is yours.
The delegate from the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan approves this resolution in noting Afghanistan's high levels of pollution, specifically from private residences as a result of outdated technology. And the delegate recognizes that the Republic of Afghanistan does not have enough resources to improve the levels of pollution itself and requires the help of more wealthier nations, which this resolution would provide for.
Great, thank you, Delegate Hungerford. Apologies for my internet connection that may or may not be going in and out right now. Do we have any other delegates who would like to register support or opposition to the final resolution as written? Delegate O'Connell, go ahead.
The delegate from the Republic of Zambia is opposed to the passing of this operative clause and resolution due to its limited scope in simply air pollution. Countries such as the Republic of Zambia and others are faced with far other forms of pollution rather than just air pollution. So therefore, we will not vote in favor of this resolution.
Great, thank you, Delegate O'Connell. I believe I have Delegate Welsh next. Delegate Welsh, can you speak on behalf or in opposition to the resolution as written?
The Federative Republic of Brazil cannot support this resolution as is, though it has very good intent behind it. And we were obviously limited by the time constraints of this particular conference. The language is entirely too vague and a little too redundant to actually be effective in the eyes of Brazil. The delegate from the Federative Republic of Brazil would love to see further amendments to this resolution because it does have good foundations and a good intention behind it. However, as is, we cannot support it.
Great, thank you, Delegate Welsh. We'll take two more comments, Delegate Kaiser and then Delegate Perrone. Delegate Kaiser, go ahead.
The delegate of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas cannot vote in favor of this resolution for basically the same reasons as the delegate of Zambia and the delegate of Brazil have also stated. It's too vague. The foundations are great, but in the eyes of the Commonwealth of Bahamas, it is not fulfilling what we needed to do. So I yield the rest of my time.
Great, thank you, Delegate Kaiser. Delegate Perrone.
The delegate from the Islamic Republic of Iran also has concerns about the vagueness of the statement and therefore cannot support these resolutions. The delegate from Iran also is concerned about the accountability under Resolution 2, Operative Clause number 2, and that countries will be able to take advantage of lower income countries and not use the funding properly. So as written, the delegate of Iran cannot support this.
Great, thank you, Delegate Perrone. Delegate Crouch, I believe I saw your hand raised. You have not yet spoken in this setting. Would you like to take this opportunity to speak one more time or one last time?
Sure. I was just going to follow up on the fact that, especially in Yemen as well as Middle East and North Africa, the Republic of Yemen, there are more issues of pollution, such as the cholera outbreaks. So I feel that such a specifically focused resolution on air pollution is not beneficial to those regions or our state.
Great, thank you, Delegate Crouch. I appreciate that last comment. Okay, as we near the end of our committee's time together, it is time to vote on the full amended resolution. A brief reminder that our goal today is to draft a final resolution that will achieve the greatest good for the greatest number of people whose lives are most critically affected by the global challenge that we are debating today. You've all done a great job debating and discussing this issue, and I thank you in advance for your efforts today. We are now going to vote on the amended resolution. Each delegate will have a vote either to support or oppose the resolution as written. All those in favor of this resolution, please use the raise hand feature. Madam Co-Chair, can you register our number of votes, please?
Yes, the votes are counted.
Great, thank you. Please lower your hands. All those delegates in opposition to the resolution as written, please raise your hands. Madam Chairwoman, can you please count the votes?
Yes, the votes are counted.
Madam Chairwoman, can you please read out the results of the vote?
Yes, so the final results for this resolution are 13 votes in favor and 15 votes against this resolution.
With 13 votes in favor and 15 votes against this resolution fails. I want to take a second to thank you all for your hard work and effort during today's committee session. Shortly, we will transition to our closing plenary session, where we'll acknowledge those delegates for their outstanding contributions to the day's proceedings. Do we have a motion today to close today's committee session?
The delegate from the Federative Republic of Brazil moves to close today.
Great, thank you, delegate. The chair agrees and will officially close today's session. Okay, thank you guys. That was excellent, fantastic job. A little unfortunate that our resolution ended up failing in the end, but that often will happen. And I appreciate each and every one of you for your contributions today. Special shout out, Jolie, Gianna, great job. I'm not sure if you guys expected to be on the hot seat like that, but you guys really did a fantastic job defending your clauses amongst your peers. So great job for that. I believe at this time, we're going to send our judges to a breakout room to debate and discuss who will get the awards. So we're going to open up a brief breakout room. Sorry, I'll just do this real quickly and assign our judges to that room. Just messaging to your students that there is an evaluation that we're going to ask them to complete, and let your teacher know that as well. I'll be in constant communication with your faculty advisors about those evaluations. Before we turn it to our judges, just one more thing. You guys will have evaluations as well as Global Smarts mentors of the program, of the advisor, of I think my job as well as the director of Global Smarts. Really just encourage you guys to offer honest, constructive feedback. We want to make this program as good as possible for every year into the future. This year has been an especially challenging year with work from home, switching this program to a virtual environment. So any feedback, any thoughts that you guys have about how to make this program as strong as possible, please incorporate them. We take that seriously, and we will incorporate and include that in our program structure for next year. Okay, that is our housekeeping announcements. Kristen, I'm going to turn it over to you to go through awards.
Yes, thank you so much, Eric, and congratulations to everyone on doing such a great job tonight. I'm going to turn it over to our judges just to give a word or two about the deliberations today, and then I will read the awards when they're done. Any judge want to kick us off?
I'm happy to start. So I thought everyone did a terrific job. I know it's always a challenge when you've got a limited amount of time and you have to think on your feet. So I thought people did a good job. I think it's also important, and I would recommend always kind of have an idea in your head of what points you want to make. And even if you're responding to someone else's comment or you're talking about a specific clause, try and find a way to slide your points into that and keep focused on the things that are important to your country and just keep focused on those. But great job, everyone.
That's great advice. Blair, do you want to offer a couple comments as well?
Yes, I was just so impressed with the dialogue that I saw tonight, the collaboration that took place both in the main hall and in the breakout rooms. I will say that there's nothing more powerful than a well-asked question. And I was really impressed with the clarifying questions that we heard tonight. They were really well nuanced and showed a great grasp of the resolutions. I will also say I was blown away by the amount of research it was clear that you all had done on your countries going into this debate, and the ability that you all had to call upon the history and the economic impact and just the way in which this resolution would affect your country and really owning that. That came through to me, both in your research and in your communication style. And just one shout out, I was able to observe 2 of the 3 breakout rooms and really love the diplomacy and the collaboration that was happening in those rooms. So thank you all for letting us observe tonight.
Yes, I was so impressed. I don't think anyone dropped the Model UN curtain throughout the whole session today. Okay, Mitch, some final remarks.
Yeah, I mean, I'll second everything that's been said, but I'll also just add a little bit. I mean, I think some of what also impressed me were some of the answers to some of the good questions also, and some of the specifics, and pushing for questions defining what does it mean the wealthiest countries? Do you use the World Bank standard? I was also moved in some cases, and I think it was very persuasive by some of the delegates when they came out against it. Like from Brazil as an example, or some of the other places that way, and as to their reasons for that. And I thought that was very persuasive. And it was really good across the board, but I think the delegate from Afghanistan, I thought to me was very persuasive as to why Afghanistan has a lot of problems. They have a lot of pollution issues and they don't have the infrastructure to deal with it. And it was compelling why it had to be dealt with. So I was very impressed by the preparation, the confidence, the way things were expressed. So I thank all of you for a job well done. Thanks.
Awesome. A virtual round of applause for everyone and to our judges. Thank you so much for your help and assistance today. Okay, on to the awards. So I'll read out the honorable mentions first. The judges had to choose 3, but they chose 5 because they were so impressed by all of your work today. So our honorable mentions go to Dana from Afghanistan, Dan representing Zambia, Liz representing Haiti, Jolie representing Pakistan, and Chris representing the Bahamas. So virtual round of applause to all of our delegates for our honorable mentions. Great job, everyone. And of course, our outstanding student delegate for this evening goes to Gianna from Yemen. So thank you so much, guys. You did a fantastic job. Round of applause. I see lots of claps and celebratory icons appearing. Great job, great job. And I know it probably feels a little like, oh my gosh, our resolution failed, but I wouldn't say it failed in any sense. I think that it, in a sense, just did not pass tonight, but with more time, you all would have definitely had the chance to go back into caucusing and getting those clauses tightened up so that you would have voted to pass them. So great job to everybody on your collaboration tonight. All right, I'll pass the virtual mic back over to Eric.
Yeah, that is going to pretty much conclude our program for tonight. Just one note that I wanted to mention, your students, we had to kind of push through some of this program pretty quickly. Your students will have about double the time that you guys had at pretty much every instance. You guys have 10 minutes, your students have 20 minutes. You guys have 20 minutes, your students have 40 minutes. So just a quick note about that. But again, thank you guys so much for all your work today. You did a great job on short notice with all of this, and just want to say thank you. I will see you guys next Thursday on the 29th for our one of our final Global Smarts Thursday evening meetings. I just want to say thanks again, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night and have a great couple of sessions with your students coming up. Take care. If anybody has any questions, you can stick around after, but take care and have a good night.
You too. Thanks.
Thank
you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. Thanks to our
Thank you so much.
judges.
Yes, thank you, judges. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you
Thanks,
all.
everyone. It was great.
Oh,
It was
thank you,
great.
Stephen. We appreciated it. And Mitch, it was so good to finally get to see you again.